So it looks like the day has finally come, the day that we've all been dreading, and the day that honestly we've pretty much been expecting for a long time has finally come. It looks like Kathleen Kennedy has extended her contract. Obviously, negative news for most of us. I don't think most of us want this to be the case, but I think we had kind of come to the conclusion that this was going to be the case after all the reports that were coming out recently. You know, for a long time, I and a lot of others bought into the rumors that she wouldn't be renewing her contract. Just kind of, I guess, wishful thinking. I definitely wanted it to be the case, and I definitely thought that there was a good chance that it could be the case, because if you just think about the situation logically on how Star Wars has been so mishandled in the recent years, and really ever since Disney bought Star Wars, The Force Awakens was kind of a big hit, and then after that it was just failure after failure, flop after flop. And yes, you could say that I guess technically she did a good job with the franchise, technically she made some money with the sequel trilogy, but I don't think anyone who knows the potential of Star Wars would know that she didn't reach Star Wars' potential. And yes, it's not solely Kathleen Kennedy's fault, but she is the head of the snake, and if you want to make a change at Lucasfilm, a true change, and signify that Star Wars is going in a new direction, which it seemed like they were trying to do, especially recently in the last year, it really seemed like they were trying to do that. I think that number one, Kathleen Kennedy has to go. It doesn't look like they had the balls to do it, and Kathleen Kennedy is staying at Lucasfilm according to this report. And like I said, yeah, it does suck, but I don't think the news is all bad. I don't think Star Wars is gonna go downhill now because of this news, because Star Wars was on an uptrend for the last year or so, and Kathleen Kennedy has been president that entire time. So her contract being extended doesn't really change that much. You know, Star Wars is still going to be on an uptrend. I just think the potential for where Star Wars could possibly go is going to be capped as long as people like Kathleen Kennedy are in charge. And who knows, Kathleen Kennedy could be fired in 3 years, because it does say her contract has reportedly been extended for 3 more years. She could leave after 3 years, and we could get someone who's way worse than Kathleen Kennedy and completely ruin Star Wars. Because right now I'm saying that the potential for Star Wars is capped while Kathleen Kennedy is there, and I don't really have any faith in any Star Wars content outside of what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing, other than those projects where they are solely in charge, because I think that they've proven themselves over and over to Disney and to Kathleen Kennedy, to Lucasfilm, enough where they can have sole creative control over what happens on all of their projects. So I trust those projects, because I don't think Kathleen Kennedy or the story group will be interfering with them at all. But other than that, I don't have faith in anything outside of the Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni projects. But like I said, who knows? Someone else could come in 3 years, replace Kathleen Kennedy, and make me not have faith in anything. Not only just not cap Star Wars' potential for where it could possibly go in the future, but also just run it straight into the ground. Who knows? You know, this could be a blessing in disguise. We have no idea. I didn't want it to happen. I thought that for Star Wars to move forward, a big part of that would be for Kathleen Kennedy to not be extended. It is what it is, though. She is going to be extended, it looks like. Let's check out what the article and the report actually has to say. A lot of this is just a bunch of BS, and it just kind of reiterates everything that we know about Star Wars from the last few years, or ever since the Disney purchase. But they kind of go into what happened on Disney Plus Day, how we got pretty much zero Star Wars content, zero Star Wars teases after all these scoopers were coming out and saying that, you know, this stuff is coming. We're getting a Kenobi trailer. We're going to get some more Book of Boba Fett footage. We're going to get some Andor footage, stuff like that. And we just got absolutely nothing. We even got, like they said, kind of negative news. We got that Chloe Zhao is not directing Feige's film, and also not directing any Star Wars movie. And that's not really negative news for me, but it's not positive news. You know, it's kind of taking away, it's subtracting projects that we thought were moving forward, and it's saying no, they're actually moving backwards. Chloe Zhao is not directing Feige's film, and also not directing any Star Wars movie. And I didn't really want Chloe Zhao to direct a Star Wars movie, so it's not really negative news that she particular is not directing a Star Wars movie for me. It's more just negative in the sense that we're not moving forward on these projects, we're moving backwards. You know, she's not doing anything with Star Wars, so none of the news that we heard in the last few days is actually true. And also the Darth Maul show, don't really want that to happen. I think Darth Maul is extremely overused at this point, especially in animation. I would love to see Maul in live action again, but to see him in his own animated show is just going to be rinse and repeat once again. I'm tired of Darth Maul in animation. But that show was heavily rumored by all these scoopers, and we didn't see anything from that. I just thought that this whole Disney Plus Day thing was very strange, and what I was told from people who I trust, and I don't usually report on scoops or anything like that, but what I was told on why we didn't see that much on Disney Plus Day is because they wanted to drop the Kathleen Kennedy news of her extension on that day. The contract wasn't signed yet, it wasn't finished yet, so they didn't have it finalized. They didn't want to announce it and then something fall through, but they wanted to announce this contract renewal on a day where they could drop some other things as well. And I think that they were probably going to wait for D23, but but that didn't end up happening. They wanted to drop it on Disney Plus Day. For whatever reason, they didn't have the contract finalized, so they didn't want to drop that. And them not dropping the news of Kathleen Kennedy's renewal forced them to save the Kenobi trailer, forced them to save the Andor footage, because they want to drop it all at the same time to kind of, I guess, take the sting out of the Kathleen Kennedy news. I don't really know. Honestly, it's not really stinging that much. I don't really care that much that Kathleen Kennedy is staying, because like I said, have a lot of faith in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni still. They've proven themselves over and over again to be competent creators and to be able to do things on their own without the micromanaging of Kathleen Kennedy, which I'll probably talk more about the micromanaging of Kathleen Kennedy in my next video when I talk about the Patty Jenkins firing and why her movie fell through and stuff like that. But let's continue on with the article. Should this theory prove true? So they also talk about the fact that the running theory is, following the leaks about Book of Boba Fett and Rogue Squadron, Lucasfilm fed false information to weed out the leakers in the company. So apparently all these scoopers who thought the Kenobi trailer was coming, the Andor trailer was coming, or at least some sort of Andor footage was coming, apparently the theory is that they all got fed false information so that Lucasfilm and Disney could weed out the leaker for Star Wars, because a lot of Star Wars stuff was getting leaked recently with the Old Republic movie happening in place of Rogue Squadron, and now we officially know that Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron movie is indefinitely delayed, but we know that that means that it's not going to happen. You know, the movie is not going to happen. And honestly, I'm not too mad about it. I didn't want that movie to happen. I know my boy X-Wing is probably pretty sad about it because he really wanted that movie to happen, but I didn't really want it to happen. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I probably would have flopped at the box office. I don't think it would have made that much money. I think it would have been a stupid decision to spend a lot of money on that movie. They then go on in this article to list a bunch of people who was fired or who were fired or left projects that Kathleen Kennedy was involved in, which is obviously every single Star Wars project that has happened so far. All of these things have been under Kathleen Kennedy, and people always argue with me whenever I say that Kathleen Kennedy is not a good producer for Star Wars. Obviously, she's legendary. She's a legendary producer. No one can deny that. But I don't think that she's good for Star Wars for whatever reason. The Star Wars is just a different animal. And when you look at all of these bullet points saying all of these people got fired or left projects, or these projects were just canceled altogether, it doesn't look good. And the argument that people always use for me whenever I say that Kathleen Kennedy isn't good for Star Wars is that she's a good businesswoman. Well, all of these things had to do with business. You're hiring these people, you're getting people hyped up about these projects, and then they leave the project, and the project is either delayed or canceled, or you hire someone else mid-production and the movie just becomes a disaster, kind of like what happened with Solo. And it sums it up right here perfectly. It's been chaotic. It seems like every single production under Kathleen Kennedy is just straight up chaotic. Someone is fired, someone leaves the project, things happen that are bad, and the only common denominator for all of these events, for all of these projects, is Kathleen Kennedy. She has to go. She just has to go. It doesn't look like she's going to go, though. It looks like she's going to stay for another 3 years. Obviously not confirmed by Lucasfilm yet, but I expect it to be confirmed very soon. Let me know what you guys think about this news that Kathleen Kennedy is staying on at Lucasfilm. I'm not a fan, but like I said, I still think Star Wars is going to be on an uptrend, while stuff like Marvel is going to be on a definite downtrend. Even though Kathleen Kennedy is here to stay for probably another 3 years, unless something really weird happens in those 3 years where she does get fired, I don't think this is going to push Star Wars in the dirt or anything like that. I think it's still going to be on an uptrend, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, though, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, links to that in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you in the next one.